have to live with this. Do you not understand that?
What do you think about this woman? Do you think she did herself any favors by testifying? How do you think the prosecutor did on that cross? I thought she did pretty well, making this woman out to be someone who lied to protect herself. At the end of the day, was it really about protecting her little son? Or was it about protecting her? You know, we're talking about a child who got a hold of a gun that shouldn't have been in his reach, but really the person responsible would be her, right? Would be Robin Howington. Let's talk some more about that. Let's bring back in law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Brian Silber. Brian, let me start with you on this, please. You were talking earlier about how you just don't see sincerity with Robin Howington in which she's saying, and it's just like she's overplaying it, overselling it. Do you think this was really about just covering her tracks, you know, as a mother who did a terribly negligent thing in leaving a loaded gun in the reach of her toddler?
You know, I think the government doesn't know what happened either. Okay, and that's kind of a problem for me in this case. She's definitely covering. I mean, that's the feeling I get, you get, I think everybody gets it. But the fact that someone's covering it up and lying about what happened doesn't mean she has criminal liability for what she's lying about. We still don't know what happened because I don't believe her, and there was nobody else present. You know, did the child get a hold of an undetended firearm? Did she straight up shoot her kid on purpose? Was she handling the firearm and accidentally discharged it? You know, there's different theories of liability for these different things, and we just don't know what happened. All we know is this lady's trying to cover up for it. So I don't know what this judge is going to do in the end. He has a conviction to deal with, but to me, there's a lot of unanswered questions that I personally want to feel comfortable about before I lock someone in a cage for as many years as she's looking at. You know, she definitely, there's something here. I'm sure she did something wrong. I'm sure she did something negligent, but it's one of those situations where nobody knows. It was just her and the victim and a 5-year-old. You know, we're surmising because she's lying about it that therefore she must have done something criminal as opposed to something maybe negligent. You know, there's a major distinction between those two. And the problem we have in the criminal courts is when it enters the criminal court, negligence very easily gets interpreted as criminal negligence. And that I'm just having weird feelings about what actually the truth of this case is. But now we're faced with a sentencing question, and you know, that's what the judge's job is about. That's what he's there for.
Right, Brian. You know, and who knows if we even know all of the truth. I think there are things we don't know. I would love to know the extent of her involvement with drug activity, drug selling. If she had you know, even a minor operation going out of her home. I wonder if that's why she needed the gun handy, loaded, in the reach of the child. Sonny Slaughter, may I speak to you, please, about firearm safety? And because I am in no way disparaging gun ownership. I'm a proponent of the Second Amendment. I believe in it. I think the more good people with guns out there, the safer we are. That's just me. But you know, safety is paramount, as we know. If you're going to own a firearm, you have to know how to use it, know how to store it safely. Would you speak to this, the problems here going on with her and this nefarious activity going on, and how careless she was with the gun?
Well, first, let me thank both of you, Brian, for taking us to school on what we're missing, and Julie, for you chiming in. Gun safety, I am a proponent of the Second Amendment as well. So gun safety is paramount. If you are going to have a firearm, you really should know how to secure it, how to use it, and how to ensure that you have all of the right documentation and that you are prepared no matter who is in your home or who can get access to your home. Having, using gun safes, gun locks, ensuring that they are out of reach, out of place, that you're not showing them off when you do have firearms in your home, that your children, if they know where they are, they understand that they are not to use them, they are not to touch them, they are not to have access. Now, I had 4 children. I had guns in my homes. My children were well aware of their parameters of what to do, what not to do. So it's not to say that you cannot have firearms. And I mean, we had law enforcement in our house. They knew what to do, what not to do, and now they are gun carrying and gun owners themselves. However, some people are very reckless and careless, and they want to show their guns off. The children, they shouldn't be within reach. Bios are really good for safety, so you can get them out.
Definitely. Sonny, thank you for all of that. I really appreciate it. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to remember the victim at the heart of this tragic case. We're going to remember little Destiny Oliver. This beautiful girl was 5. Look at her, 5 years old. She was a baby. And we're going to focus on her when we return.
We are underway in the trial of doomsday prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Morgan. I could never come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Today, the question is, will we see justice for the fatal shooting of 5-year-old Destiny Oliver, as her mother, Robin Howington, will be facing a judge to learn her sentence? This is a case that has broken everyone's heart. And according to Officer Cummings, who testified for the state, it's a case that's etched in his mind. Take a look.
You say that when you see the car pull up and you see 2 adults and 2 children go into the house.
I said it appeared to me like 2 adults and 2 children do go into the home, yes.
And if I tell you that's probably just a little wrong, would that surprise you?
Yes, it would surprise me.
It would surprise you that there were not 2 adults and 2 kids coming in and out of the car?
I'd be very surprised by that.
And how many times have you watched that video since September 14th of 2019?
I couldn't tell you.
When was the last time you looked at it?
I could not tell you exactly when.
Not in preparation for trial, you didn't look at it?
No.
Okay.
I would pretty much say that night's pretty etched in my mind.
Etched in your mind?
Correct.
But you would agree that it's possible for you to make mistakes, right?
Anything's possible, yes.
5 years later, it'd be even easier to make a mistake about what you saw in a very short video on a dark night from a Ring camera.
I would say on a night to where I carry a lifeless 5-year-old, it's pretty hard to not remember a lot of things.
As I'm watching that, I have chills running up and down my arms. I just said to my team, I have chills just thinking about that, what the officer saw, him being the only person trying to save Destiny Oliver. How about that? Mom's busy hiding the firearm. They killed her. The person that was trying to save her life was a stranger. Let's bring in our guests and talk about that. Sonny Slaughter, Brian Silber standing by. Sonny, to you first on this, your thoughts, please.
You know, I saw your segment earlier talking about officer wellness and safety, and people sometimes forget that a law enforcement professional can go from one scene to another scene in a short period of time and have so much trauma and have so many experiences that they have to cope with, suppress, and investigate and pull out the truth from people. Mm-hmm. And this officer is clearly impacted by this. There are things that you see that you will never forget, names and stories, children that you will hold, and lives that will be changed and your life will be changed. And we always have to remember that.
That's right. Beautifully said, Sunny. Thank you. Brian, to you next, please. Your thoughts.
Well, being in law enforcement is a very honorable job, in my opinion. And the reason for that is not only the danger, but they're the ones who go and deal with society's worst problems and the worst moments. And they see the reality. It's not what's in the movies. It's not what's on TV. It looks different. And it's even more different when it's tangible and you can touch it and you can see it and you can smell it and you can feel the emotion of the people around you. And that's part of the honor of being in law enforcement. They're the people that go in and do that on a daily basis. And I'm sure this officer, until the day he dies and leaves this earth, he will remember the day he carried that girl in his arms.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, carrying a little baby. I mean, when you think 5 years old, I mean, this little girl, healthy, beautiful, happy, has her whole life ahead of her, and to die in such a brutal way. And then her brother, for him to grow up with that, that wasn't his fault. That was his mother's fault. And I'm sure it's going to take years of therapy and years of support from other people to come to terms with that wasn't his fault, that was his mom's. I want to say a big thank you to you both for the great discussions this morning. Sunny Slaughter, Brian Silber, thank you kindly. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to squeeze in a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take you live to Tennessee. Sentencing hearing for Robin Howington expected to get underway in minutes. And we're also going to be live in Idaho today, where Melanie Gibbs expected back on the witness stand in Chad Daybell's murder trial.
What did she share with you about the concept of light and dark?
So if someone was light, they had made contracts with Jesus Christ before they came here. And if they were dark, they had made contracts and promises with Satan. And it was a different scale level of how dark or light they were.
We continue another very busy morning here on Court TV Live. Hope you're having a good Friday morning. I'm your host, Julie Grant. So we're getting ready for day number 7 to begin in the murder case for the self-proclaimed doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell. Court's set to begin later on this hour, and it's going to start up with the rest of the cross-examination of someone who really has become kind of the state's star witness, Melanie Gibb. She was a former friend of Lori Vallows, and we're going to go into the courtroom together as soon as the judge takes the bench. But we want to start things off this hour with the sentencing for defendant Robin Howington. The Tennessee mother was convicted last month of all of the charges in the shooting death involving her 5-year-old daughter, Destiny Oliver. Howington is facing a minimum of 15 to 25 years behind bars for her crimes. Court TV anchor Ashley Wilcott gives us a preview.
I was walking up to my house, and it's a glass door, and I seen a flash of light go off.